Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining, everybody. My name is Jeff, and we're going to review some whiskey today that I have never had the privilege to try before. Going to be checking this one off the bucket list. So special shout out to a whiskey friend, Ricardo, for today's sample of, well, two samples of William Heavenhill, 15-year and 17-year. Going to do quick summaries of each of those, and then at the end, provide the final scores and decide whether I think one of these would be worth hunting down. So thank you for joining today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. All right. So yes, very excited for today's tasting. I have both samples sitting out here in front of me. The 15-year will be in the regular size Glen. Cheers, Top Dog. And that'll be the 15-year. The 17-year I got in the taller one with a stem, letting those sit out and air out as we go through the details here. Now, if you are unfamiliar with the William Heavenhill series, let me pull up the bottle here. And that will give you a sense of this whiskey pulling up the Heavenhill website. So what you see here is the William Heavenhill here, if you've not seen that bottle before. Now, each of these that comes out are always different proofs, different ages, different years. So they actually got this nice table here on the website that guided me towards the fact that we are sipping on the 2022 and the 2023 editions of William Heavenhill. That's the 9th edition, the 10th edition. The 9th edition, which is the 15-year, is 109 proof, whereas the 10th edition is the 17-year at 120 proof. So we're definitely going to be starting out today's tasting with the 15-year. Probably would have done that anyway. So with this in mind, huge fan of Heavenhill, ECBP, still love you, though just a little less than I did before. But real excited to get into some old age Heavenhill here. So let's start out with the 15-year. Cheers, everybody. Holy crap. Seriously. Monster nose alert. This nose is fabulous. I mean, oh my gosh. The oak coming off this thing is unbelievable. I ain't even written down my notes yet. I'm just so excited now to talk about it. I'll just fling right into it. There's oak, there's vanilla, there's a little bit of cherry, maybe even some more fruits behind that. Whew. All right. On the nose, absolutely incredible. Took me aback on the immediate first impression of that thing. Loads of oak, to be expected at 15 years, but surrounded by this layer of sweetness, almost like an entire candy shop. Chocolate, vanilla, caramel, bit of nuttiness, made me even think of a chocolate turtle from time to time. But in addition to that, there's also this like lovely raspberry sauce. So really, really impressed with the nose. Let's get to the taste. So just went through the experience on this one. Wow, really, really, really good here. The flavor profile really does match the nose. I was very surprised about the sweetness throughout. Now, on the front of the palate, it actually started out a little lighter and brighter than I was expecting, but like a snowball going downhill, this thing gets pretty intense towards the end. Mid-palate, everything picks up. The flavor profile, though, is still the same. That chocolate turtle really does play through. The oak presence gets heftier and heftier, turns into almost a leather by the finish. And as we get into the finish, everything gets more and more intense. So initially, I was a bit like, oh, man, this is starting out, a little less than I was expecting. And then it just kept building and building and building. So very impressed there. Ended up scoring the 15-year at a 86 out of 100, which is a good score. If I were to see this at MSRP, I'd probably pick one up. I really do enjoy this profile. Maybe it's lacking a bit of complexity, which held some of those scores back. but I even gave the score on the finish a 10 out of 10 when it came to the flavors. So really, really enjoyed it there. Now let's get into the 17 year. Now, if you recall from the beginning of the video, the 17 year is 120 proof. So you get a little extra proof on this one compared to that 15 year. And once again, never had this one either. So cheers, everybody. Let's go through this one. Highly impressed with the nose on 17. Lots more oak and leather. The sweetness is dialed back a little bit, though there is a lot of similar flavors there. Vanilla comes shining through. Chocolate comes shining through. There's also a little bit of cherry, almost like a cherry cordial, but a very cream-heavy cherry cordial, if that makes sense. Now, let's get into the palate. Cheers, everybody. Wow. This is an incredible whiskey. So the 17 year, the flavors are actually pretty consistent and they match the nose through and through. So that cherry cordial thing continued throughout. It was absolutely delicious. Lots of oak, lots of leather. The other thing that was interesting doing these side by side, the 15 year kind of started out light and escalated into the finish. The 17 year pretty much stays intense throughout the entire thing. And its finish lasts for an incredibly long, long time. Just went through the final scores on this one. Gave this one a 91. Now, a 90 on the site is very rare. So, wow. Yes, simply blown away by the William Heavenhill 17 year, especially in comparison to the 15. I would chase this one all day, would even consider going after it now, maybe having to do a few things. Wow. Very, very impressed with this one. One more sip. Let's see if I have anything else. Oh my gosh, yeah. Just the dance of the oak, the leather, the cherry cordial. There's even a little bit of this effervescence that hits mid-palate. Gosh darn. That's an incredible whiskey. That's one of the best pours I've had in a while. I'll tell you what. Especially for an older whiskey. Thank you so much for the samples, Ricardo. If you've had these, let me know what you think of them in the comments. If you've had the 15 year, the 17 year, if you've had both, let me know which one you preferred. You know which one I preferred. Man, that 17 year is good. So thank you for joining today, whiskey friends. We'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.